The book of Esther has no named author, although some people think that Mordecai wrote the book. It was likely written between 460 and 350 BC and took place around 480 BC, set between the first return of the Jews to Jerusalem under Zerubbabel, which is described in Ezra chapter 1 through 6 and took place in 538 BC, and the second return, which is described in Ezra chapter 7 through 10 and took place at 458 BC. It was set in Persia, which is now modern Iran. And some people in the book include the king of Persia, which is Xerxes, which is the Greek transliteration of his name, meaning mighty lion. He was estimated at about 35 years old. The queen of Persia in the beginning of the book is Vashti, and she is the granddaughter of King Nebuchadnezzar, who besieged Jerusalem in 586. Now, Vashti means beauty. Mordecai was from the tribe of Benjamin, and his Persian name meant giving allegiance to the false god Marduk. He cared for his orphan niece, Esther. Esther meant star, and that was a Persian name, referencing the false fertility god Ishtar. She was likely about 18 years old. Her Jewish name meant myrtle, and myrtle is a common perennial shrub in Israel, and it has white star-shaped flowers, and it's used for perfume. In Zechariah 1:11, it's referenced as a sign of peace. Haman means illustrious, and he came from the Amalekites, who had a deep hatred for the Jews. You can read about that in 1 Samuel 15. Now, why would we study the book of Esther? The book of Esther never mentions the name of God. There's also no prayer. There's no references to the law of God or any Old Testament references at all. The scroll was not found among those found at the Dead Sea Scrolls. Martin Luther reportedly said he wished it had never been written. So why is it a part of the Bible? Why would we choose to study it? We'll ask these questions and more during our 8:30 Bible study, but I encourage you to read the story. It's 10 rather exciting narrative-rich chapters. It's a total of only 167 verses. Read it all and then zoom back and look at the book as a whole. See how precisely the story was pieced together, designed like the events we discussed when we studied the book of Ruth. Then ask yourself, where do you see God? How do you see his power and how he's orchestrating and moving events? What do you learn about him? Read the story and look for him. How does this story bring him glory? Where do you see his joy, his mercy, his power, his promise? In this book, and thinking back to Ruth and Naomi's story, even in your own life at times, when God seems absent, does that mean that he is absent? By no means. God accomplishes his purposes, even using us flawed people to do it. God keeps his promises. Though throughout the book of Esther, we can learn to trust God's provision in his plan, in his promises, in his word, even when we can't see how he's working. He is working. We trust, we hope, we have confident, sure faith that just as he says he is, God is redeeming his people. He is overcoming evil. He is saving us. Thanks be to God.